Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we commence our third of 5 programs on the Conference of Parties that is taking place for its 28th year this year in Abu Dhabi, chaired by the president of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, Sultan Al Jaber, who has been talking about the fact that there's no scientific evidence to show that fossil fuels have anything to do with global warming. And in fact, is using the conference, which has the largest delegation of oil executives and lobbyists in the history of the COP, 4 times bigger than it was even last year, and last year set a record. To give you an idea of how dedicated our governments are to actually solving the problem. They're having the people who are causing the problem chair the conference, manipulate the conference. And in addition to that, John Kerry, referred to generally as the climate change czar of the Biden administration, supposedly committed, like Sultan Al Jaber, to climate change remediation, used the occasion to talk about the utility of nuclear power to solve the climate change crisis, so that instead of doing anything about fossil fuels, the American government, starting in an announcement that they made right at the beginning of the COP, on December 1st, is calling for the nations of the world to triple the nuclear energy use by 2050 as an attempt on the part of the governments not to solve the problem, but to double it, triple it, with a problem that is in its own way as if not more devastating than fossil fuel-induced climate change itself. And I want to thank Harriet Crosby, who's a very old friend of mine, and a colleague who also lives here in Washington. We have been getting together for dinner. She's been very helpful in introducing me around to various people since I hadn't been here for about 20 years. And she has been on the board of directors of Friends of the Earth for over 30 years, and has been a tireless activist in the environment, and also back during the Gorbachev days with the Soviet Union, was the founder of the International Soviet-American Relations, the Institute for Soviet-American Relations, ISAR. And so we were talking about the tripling of nuclear power, and she and I have been getting together, and we've written a blog, and we'll put the blog in the chat. You can also go to Ubiquity University's Ubiverse and just go to our blog link, and you'll see it right there. There's a picture of a flying saucer as the headline of the blog, because what we're asserting in this blog is that reverse engineering ET technology is actually, along with alternative energy, the way to solve the climate crisis after we first stop producing more fossil fuel. And I'd like to take a moment to comment on this, because I think the fact that on December 1st, the White House, when it announced its initiative, said there were 8 nations that had joined the initiative already: United Kingdom, France, Germany, the usual suspects in the G7 in Europe. And when John Kerry made the announcement a few days ago on December 8th, he announced that 20 countries had now joined the nuclear power bandwagon. And I would just say, having been in the anti-nuclear movement for 50 years, The first book I ever wrote was called The Plutonium Culture. And it was the first book written actually back in the 1980s that went through the nuclear fuel cycle from mining to milling to processing to nuclear energy power plants to storing the radioactive waste, and demonstrated that at every phase of the nuclear energy fuel cycle, radiation is released into the environment. And we all know from any exposure to radiation, even X-rays, that it causes damage to living organisms and cellular life. And the radiation that's released from nuclear power plants is not just radiation generally, but the most lethal kind of radiation, strontium-90, plutonium, strontium-90, cesium-138, all of which cause massive side effects and deleterious destructive effects, not only on human bodies, but on all biological entities, fish, birds, animals of all sorts, including plant life. And something like plutonium is what they use to make nuclear bombs. So any country that has a nuclear power plant has the potential capability of making nuclear weapons. So here we are at a moment in history where the world is convulsing with war, when the climate is spinning out of control, and the human species, along with 1 million other species, are officially on the endangered species list. We have no capacity to ensure international, social, political stability now. And you have to store plutonium alone for tens of thousands of years in a completely safe, stable environment. And nothing like that exists on planet Earth. I've been making a point over the last couple of days that I want to reiterate, that it's the same mentality that bombs Gaza, the most densely congested population area in the world, with bunker-busting bombs, that is perverting COP28 into a convention of the oil industry, and then, surrounded by oil executives, talks about tripling nuclear power by 2050. It's the same malignancy of the intellect. It's the same corruption of the heart. It's the same blind obsession with power and money and centralized energy so it can be manipulated by the corporate and political elites. It's the same mentality that has been keeping even more secret than nuclear weapons technology for nearly 80 years about the alien spacecraft, the UFOs, now called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, that have crashed and been retrieved. And instead of offering the energy, systems, and technology that the extraterrestrials have used to get to planet Earth, which apparently defy gravity, are based on free energy, can move from water to air to space with equal ease, can move into different dimensions. Instead of bringing that technology out into the public domain, what is the US and the Russian and the Chinese and the Brazilian and all the other governments that have retrieved these craft? What have they done? They've kept it secret. and tried their best to reverse engineer it for one purpose only, and that is to get weapons that can really destroy the enemy. And I've been, just over the last couple of days, been privy to information that I'll be speaking more about over the next couple of days, about apparently that's been successful. And the US military is about ready to come out with the first UFO weapon based on reverse engineering. So that rather than solving our problems, rather than bringing technology and energy, information into the public domain in a way that would allow every person on Earth to draw energy literally from the air, which we've known about for over 100 years through the research of Tesla, 100 years ago in the United States. That kind of opportunity is being suppressed. And so what Harriet and I did was just write a blog to say that we, at this moment where the Senate and the House of the US government are contemplating whether or not to begin a process of controlled release of this information into the public domain, we want to accentuate that the technology that has already been reversed engineered could create an energy system that would enable humanity to cut through the need for fossil fuels, for nuclear power, and bring free, cheap, eternally renewable energy for the benefit of humanity. There's so many dimensions to this, everyone. So when you think of UFOs, if you think of extraterrestrial intelligences, it's not just little green men that have, come here on spacecraft and they're trying to size us out. They've been providing everything that humanity needs. And it is only this peculiar technology of mind, this extraordinary proclivity on the part of our species to allow the differentiation between the few and the powerful and the many and the impoverished, over which the elites exercise coercive control at every level, that somehow cripples us in doing the most obvious thing in the world, and that is providing an abundant, life-sustaining, ecologically harmonious opportunity for every human being to fulfill their human potential and live lives of happiness and fraternity and abundance. And so that's the great koan, that's the great anvil on which human events are beaten into history. And it is our deep hope at Humanity Rising that we can be empowered. So I want to encourage all of you to think deeply about this moment and do what all of us can do to bring about a better world. So thank you, everyone. I would like to now introduce a colleague of Sue Lennox's and Oz Green, who has been with us on another occasion as a support person, who's been very deeply involved in consulting with Oz Green and other environmental organizations. So Jennifer, if you'd like to open up your video, there you are. Jennifer Canu, who I'd like to just introduce. She'll be offering up a video of a couple of the Oz Green young people who are working around the world. But as we start, Jennifer, since you're relatively new to our Humanity Rising community, why don't you, Shannon's saying that she can't see you. I think I can see you. I think everyone can see Jennifer. Why don't you just introduce yourself, Jennifer, and tell us a little bit more about your background? And
Okay, we
say
can't
they
see
can't
her.
see you.
I am here. I am here. I am here.
We can't see. Now we can. Okay.
Okay. Maybe
Thank
I
you,
had to start
Carmen.
talking.
Yeah, here
Well,
we
thank
go.
you.
So
Thank
tell
you,
us
Jim.
about your background and your pathway to environmental activism.
Thank you for having me. And I am truly the support person when Alpha arrives, which he should be, I believe, shortly. I come by way of corporate engineering and project management, and did a complete 180 to my original love, which was of writing and of the woods and of the forests. So now I am an eco-lit writer. I lead forest bathing walks. In fact, I have one today in a few hours in a 30-degree chilly Maine forest. I am promising s'mores, however, so that that should be incentive for all of us. And I began with working with CCC, with Stephanie, with persons like Michelle Wilcox, took the resiliency, the Terra approach training so that I could stay embodied during these times. And in fact, as you were talking, Jim, this corruption of the heart, I had to just literally keep myself breathing as you're talking and reminding myself there is beauty in the world. People are doing incredible things, and it's both. It's heartbreak, it's beauty, it's terror, it's joy, all of it. And so part of my work with both CCC and then Osgreen has been to focus on how can we help the beauty surface. And so Alpha, I believe, is going to be joining us here to talk about what he's been doing with Youth Leading the World, Sierra Leone. And I am, in this particular constellation, I'm considered one of the aunties who supports Alpha, who walks beside him. We're not leading. We are simply walking beside Alpha, providing a sounding board, perhaps some questions for him to think about, as well as I've done some local fundraising within my networks to support him getting registered as an NGO, because we need young people everywhere to be doing this work. So, and I see Alpha has joined us.
Cool. Hello, Alpha.
Jim, hello. How are you?
Yes.
We're well.
Good.
So
I'm
why
happy to
don't
meet you all.
yeah, yeah, I was just giving them a little bit of my background as well. And we'll have to rename you Alpha because you were not Jennifer Camo. Let me see if someone can do that.
I can do that.
Oh, yeah,
Jennifer,
yes.
you go ahead and.
Yeah. So I've been working.
Can somebody help me with?
Yeah, someone will fix that for you. And just by way of introduction, some of you who have already met Alpha previously, he was here about a year ago and talked about the work that he's doing. Osgreen's Youth Leading the World program really enables youth to take their own leadership role on behalf of whatever are their biggest concerns in their local area. And so Alpha was nominated to participate in that. And I've known you, Alpha, for almost going on 4 years, I believe. And so we have walked beside you in creating your NGO, and would love to have you speak a little bit about what's happened in particular this year and how your efforts have broadened and expanded even further. So if you'd like, I can share the PowerPoint. Will that work for you, Alpha? Would you like to say something first?
Yes. First, I was a little bit confused because I was told by Linux that I am supposed to join and do my presentation at around 6 p.m. Sierra Leone time. And I was just messaged by Michelle, so yes, who told me the presentation supposed to be now, and I don't know how fact it is. So I really want to know if my presentation is gonna be now
Yes.
or after now.
Yes. Yes. Your presentation is now, and I'm happy
right.
to share the slideshow for you. And then you can speak to it.
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. Let's do that. It is in my browser, so I'm going to hide my controls, and hopefully you all can see that. Please put something in the chat if you can't. Okay, so Alpha, take it away with this brief update for this Humanity Rising community. Alpha, are you there? Okay, someone's going to have, because I can't see anybody. So someone's going to have to tell me if Alpha is
You're
frozen.
both on the screen, Jennifer.
Okay.
But Alpha apparently cannot hear us.
Okay.
He's sometimes frozen and sometimes not. Alpha, can you hear us?
Okay. Why don't I just take you through it and
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah.
You take us through it and then we can dialogue.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So Youth Leading the World, Sierra Leone, has really two primary focuses. One is on uniting youth and providing leadership skills and capabilities for those youth. And the second purpose is so that these youth can focus on both climate education, reforestation, poverty alleviation, and food security. And they are supported by a broad network. We hope it will grow of aunties and uncles, as well as Osgreen, of course, and Sue's coaching and guidance has been instrumental, along with Climate Change and Consciousness. And the organization is actually called Future in Our Hands, not Freedom in Our Hands, Future in Our Hands, which is an organization in Sierra Leone as well. So just as a backdrop, Sierra Leone, and you may have heard it on the news about 2 weeks ago, has been in significant crises. It's unfortunately not covered in our news the way it probably should be, but just a little over 2 weeks ago, a group of our people stampeded the arms warehouse that was owned by the government and stole a lot of weapons, and the whole country was under lockdown for several days. This was only 2 weeks ago. It is one of the poorest countries in the world. Desertification is happening, as many of us know, in that area, the Sahel region in Africa. And as you can tell, of course, the people who are, as we know, the people who are experiencing the impacts of the climate crisis are not the ones who are causing it. So many in Sierra Leone have very, very small eco footprint, and yet are facing the brunt of the issues. Girl education is also a challenge. The statistics are sobering. 46% of girls aged 15 to 24 are literate, only 46%. And 40% of school-age girls leave school due to poverty. One thing you're seeing here is a member of Youth Leading the World, Sierra Leone, a woman, speaking to a group of students. And they call this sensitization training, which really means educating youth on the causes of climate change. Some of the prevailing sentiment has had to do with that Allah is doing this to the people because they haven't been good enough or prayerful enough, or so helping to bring that science and that education into the schoolrooms. Food security is a huge problem in Sierra Leone, and I think Alpha, if you were able to if you're back, I don't know. I think you have spoken about the inflation that has just really severely impacted the country just in this last year. So part of what you're seeing in this photo is Alpha providing bags of rice to some of the poorer people in these areas. Water access, again, is a problem. And it's sobering to see these statistics today. Many rural African women walk 6 kilometers just to haul a small amount of water. And this is a photo that Alpha took earlier this year. So these are all photos that he has taken. These aren't stock photos or anything like that, that he sends to us regularly to keep us informed of what's happening there. And this was a devastating flood just earlier this year. And as we're experiencing right now, access to internet, access to electricity, is severely hampered as well. So only 26% of the population has access to electricity in a stable way. So the organization became registered thanks to a group of aunties and uncles in 2022 who supported and saw the potential that Alpha had, and not only his vision for how he wanted to impact his area, but his leadership skills, his ability to persuade and enroll young people to join him. It's as Sue has described Alpha as one of the most remarkable young men she's ever met. And this I can also bear witness to and testify around. So he's quite extraordinary. And I'm not seeing anyone here, so I'm just going to keep going until someone tells me differently. Let's
Jennifer,
see.
hold on. I can see Alpha. Alpha, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, good, good. So Jennifer, you can carry on
Pass.
with Alpha here now in the loop.
Yes, and Alpha, I'll pass the baton to you until, and if you stop talking, then I'll join back in. But we're just about at the 2023 Youth Leading the World Facilitator Training, so you might wish to speak to that.
Yes, thank you. I am sorry of what happened just now. It's because of the problem we are having about internet and electricity. And I want to say thanks to Jennifer for a wonderful presentation. I am Alpha Mohamed Kadu from Sierra Leone. I am the National Coordinator and the founder for Youth Leading the World Sierra Leone. We have been doing a lot of activities and focusing on climate change, poverty, and a lot of aims. And this picture you are seeing on the screen are 15 facilitators. Each year, Youth Leading the World, alongside with Green and Climate Change and Consciousness, train some youth online. So I have in Sierra Leone 3 locations that I have established the organization: in Freetown, in Makeni, in Masindi, and in Malentuan. These are the locations that I have established this organization, and these are the people we have from Malentuan that attended the facilitators training for this particular year. And here is a face-to-face congress we do about climate change with the youth around the country, and they come together and we teach them a lot about climate change, and they draw out their vision, how they would like to see their community
and after which we write down our concerns, our main concerns, and as a group, we work on them. So here we have educated or engaged with 273 youths around the country on our youth leadership summit we have been doing.
Great.
Next. And also, Youth Leading the World, we also embark on school sensitization because we realize that a lot of parents in Sierra Leone mostly believe their children to tell them about climate change or to tell them about anything happening in the country. So not only to go and engage youth or stakeholders in communities, but we also thought it very important to also engage the school-going pupils because not to only teach them, but to go home and teach their parents as well as to what is causing climate change, what we are doing that affects the climate, and so on. So Youth Leading the World as a small organization has visited a lot of schools and have educated more than 2,000 youth in Sierra Leone. Next. Youth Leading the World. Last year, Sierra Leone went into a very difficult times wherein we have some riots that are happening in the capital, which is Freetown. And because of those riots, we have some curfew that nobody should go out of his own house or our own house. So that curfew has prevented people from going out to do their own work, daily work, to have what they can eat for the day. So Youth Leading World thought it fit to go out to private donors or to organizations in order to beg for support so we can support these people with some food stuff. So we got some money and we buy food stuff in which we are distributing to our people in our community, to different communities. We supply this food stuff to about 21 communities, and a lot of people we are able to benefit. Inside the food stuff, we have rice, we have Maggi, pepper, all of the stuff that they normally use to cook and eat. So this is one of the pictures I took when distributing this food. Next. Yes, Youth Leading the World also is not only operating on itself, but because we have a very poor, I don't know how to say, donorship or sponsorship, we also choose to partner with other big organizations in Sierra Leone, which is featured in our hands. It's a big organization. So we partner with them in order to implement this project we call Cassava Value Chain. This project comprises of 50 farmers, 25 youth, and 25 women. They come together and we support them in cultivation of cassava, and also we are going to establish what we call a Gari factory, wherein this cassava will be processed to Gari in order to salvage the situation of hunger, poverty in Sierra Leone. Next. A lot of activities we undergo on the cassava cultivation. First, we have to do the brushing. Second, we have to do the construction of bridges. And third, we have to do the planting. And the planting, this is a picture of the site. And here is a group of the women that are doing the planting in the farm, 25 women. Next. Being that the project is for two categories or two sets of group, the youth group and the women group. Here is the youth group comprised of 25 youth. They did the brushing, which is one of the hardest activity in our activity plan. So here is the group with me. We took photo, and that was the day we did the brushing for the cassava farm. Next. Of course, Youth Leading the World have done a lot in Sierra Leone in trying to mitigate climate change from the support we have been getting from our aunties and uncles. And here is a project supported by George Ansin. He supported us with in our project we normally do every year tree planting, and this year we did the tree planting in Yonichi Dome, Man 91, which is a small town in Sierra Leone, and we planted about 2,000 trees in schools with school-going pupils, and these trees are being taken care by the school-going pupils and the community stakeholders. And here is the project. This is the first school we visited. It is called Mike Thomas Secondary School in Sierra Leone, Malinti. These are the school-going pupils and their principal. They appreciated the project so much that every child has to plant 3 trees. Every child 3 trees, and he or she is going to take care of them till he or she leaves the school. Next. This is another school in Masindi, because we do not only look at one location in Sierra Leone, we look at about 3 locations wherein we do district planting, areas that we think normally go into floods when it's rainy season. Those are our target area. And this is another school in Masindi that planted 500 trees at one day with the school-going pupils alongside with the administration of the school. Next. Yes, one school planted 500 trees at one day. Youth Leading the World, before doing our tree planting, we also need the involvement of the community to help take care of those trees. So what we do is to first have what we say community engagement with the stakeholders around the school or the stakeholders in that village. So here is a picture of our community engagement that we engage the farmers and the chiefs within the community. We tell them about the importance of afforestation and that of the importance of the impact of deforestation. And we also introduce the projects to them, and we hand over the project to them by looking or taking care of those trees in the absence of the school-going pupils. Next. Here is a picture of my aunties who have been supporting my work since 2020, when Youth Leading the World was established in Sierra Leone. One amongst them is Sue Lennox, the founder for Youth Leading the World and Postgrain. She lives in Australia. And the other one on the picture on the second top is Michelle, who is also part of us and has been supporting our work. And the third person is the woman himself, who is here and who is showing the slides, who is no less a person but Jennifer. Jennifer has been a very courageous individual and has a lot of ideas in saying Youth Leading the World achieve its aim. He's technically inclined. I mean, he knows much about technology, so he has been directing us on how to do our work. And Youth Leading the World in order to cover our focus, in order to be able to operate as an organization, our travels, our internet, and other things. We are crying out to people. We are asking people to support our work. We only need $6,000 in order to support our work. So anyone and anybody can donate to Youth Leading the World. Next. For anyone who wants to donate to Youth Leading the World, the contact person is Alpha Mohammed Kadu, that is me, and that is my email, itzalpham@gmail.com. And here is our bank details for donation. I think we can share this, Jennifer, so people can donate if they want to. But we are begging them to, because without their donation, we are going nowhere, and our work will not continue. Yes, Youth Leading the World on school sensitization, Youth Leading the World on tree planting, Youth Leading the World on a nursery farm, and Youth Leading the World on food distribution. This is me and my team. I am working with 11 voluntary staff who are always with me and who are very energetic in making sure that we reach our aim and we succeed as an organization. And one section of them are here.
Great. I'm just going to stop share for a moment and add.
Somebody's asking if there is an account. I think the right person to respond is Jennifer. He is our IT specialist.
That engineering degree always comes in handy. Yes. So we have a video. I think Michelle just popped it in the chat that has not only the information in the description around where you might donate, but Alpha. It's a lovely video to share if you have people who are in your networks who might be interested in supporting this young man and his incredible work that he's done to date. I will also say, and I don't have the exact name for it because this is Sue's bailiwick, but Sue Osgreen has put in a grant application to their Australian High Command on behalf of Youth Leading the World Sierra Leone. So we are hoping, and fingers crossed, that a grant gets allocated to YLTW Sierra Leone. And yeah, so we're hoping this is what we would fondly call the first mile problems in NGO startups. We're in the first mile problems of getting the support and the track record so that grants and foundations can then support in a more sustainable way. So what else am I missing here? Someone had asked about Venmo. I want to be candid with you. When I went to do a bank-to-bank transfer, the state of the world today, sadly, is such that the manager of the bank put me in some ways through the ringer around, are you sure this is a legitimate NGO? Because of the degree of scams and things that are going on, especially in that area. So just eyes wide open, you may get those questions. And we have lots of photos and videos and evidence that this is obviously not a scam. This is a legitimate NGO. But just so you know, that may occur for you. And it's just part of the process of doing a bank-to-bank transfer. So what, Alpha, do you have in store as you think about 2024? What is it that you have that you'd like to get people excited about for next year?
Well, of course, if only we reach our aim of getting that particular amount, we will go into a lot of activity. And as I am talking to you presently, we have wrote a grant application with students that expectedly, if we won that one, we are going to do a lot of things. And by next year also, with our cassava project, we are going to establish a factory wherein we process cassava to garri. Cassava is the second staple food in Sierra Leone, and it is the food mostly that they process to different foods than even the staple food in Sierra Leone. So we are very excited when we went to cassava cultivation, and by next year we'll be establishing the factory. And it has never happened in our community. We found ourselves now that we have the factory for Gary, and we are going to start that. And that makes me very much excited.
Great. And there's a question in the chat here. What role does religion play in your region in denying climate consequences? What does it look like or sound like?
What role does religion play in your region in denying climate change? Well, nothing like that has happened in Sierra Leone. And even sometimes when we have a lot of jobs, like when we want to do plastic waste management, sometimes we even meet government personnel, and it's very hard to respond to us, not talking of religion. So that is a problem in Sierra Leone. People know it's a problem, climate change is a problem, but I am not seeing as if a lot of people are giving eyes to it.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, sunshine.
Oh, not sunshine. Oh.
Is the sun up yet?
Oh, God, no, it's 3 a.m.
Oh, boy. Well, just to get you up to speed and welcome, and we have just
Hi,
been through.
Jim.
Hello, Sue. We've been at it for about 45 minutes. So it might have been daylight savings time, year end or something, but we've been going at it. But thank you for joining us. And we know it's in the middle of the night for you in Australia. Jennifer did a magnificent job standing in for you, and we've brought in.
Has it already been on?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry.
So why don't we just continue the conversation? They've gone through the PowerPoint, and Alpha has been explaining what he's been doing. We've put the link up for the any contributions that people would like to make. And so whatever contributing comments you would like to make would be welcome.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm on the wrong foot at the moment.
I did mention, just to get Sue, I did mention the grant application with the Australian High Command. I think that was the proper title on that.
Commission.
Okay. Commission sounds better than command.
Well, great to see you all. Yes, must have had daylight saving round the wrong way there, because I've missed you. And yes, now that I think about that, that's the correct thing. I guess I would just like to say, what a privilege it has been to be working alongside Alpha over the last 4 years, since he first joined the Global Youth Leading the World program in 2020, and went on and trained as a facilitator. And I think that what the team in Sierra Leone has been doing is really taking what, for me, is something that it's an idea, it's a concept, but that it's one that I've devoted my life to, and really showing what's possible, and really quite remarkable, Alpha, I will say, here is that, you have devoted yourself to this work over the last 4 years, and what you've achieved is really quite remarkable. And if we could replicate that in many locations around the world, I think it's a key turning point.
Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you for everything that you've done to bring young leaders like Alpha, into their own capacity. Because if it hadn't been for you, there wouldn't have been the opportunity that he's now embracing, and through which he's shining as a real leader. So I really want to acknowledge both of you, Sue and Alpha, and Auntie Jennifer as well, because it takes a village. It really takes a village. And,
a global village.
Yeah, for sure. So Alpha, can you still hear us? I have a question for you, if you can hear us. Yeah, he may not be able to.
Yeah, he's there.
Alpha, you might turn off your video just so that you're not taking so much internet. And because Jim has a question for you.
And maybe Sue, while we're waiting for Alpha and even Jennifer, who's been involved, I was going to ask him how the reality of Sierra Leone being one of the poorest countries in the world affects his capacity for social change. Because, you know, in the European domain or the North American or in Australia, we're in cultures of material abundance. And with Sierra Leone, we're in a culture of material scarcity. And I just wanted to hear, I don't know whether you could hear my question, Alpha, but just the effect the effect of poverty on the work that you do.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello?
No, we can't kind of get it. Maybe
I'll just make a comment about that.
Yeah.
That just this, you know, for Alpha to participate and for anyone in Sierra Leone to participate, even in the very, very first, you know, global online training that they were involved in, we had to fundraise internet fees. We had to fundraise to get, you know, computers and access. So things that we just take for granted are not there. And so even for those amazing young people to begin from the point of being able to participate, we had to, you know, get the funds together so that they could get internet access and transport and even providing meals. Because for them, when we were running the training, it was the middle of the night. It was the reverse of this, and it wasn't safe, for, you know, particularly for the young women to be traveling home. And so it was just, you know, organising things, you know, with their involvement to make it safe for them and possible for them to participate.
Yeah.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry,
Hello?
Alpha.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right. Sorry. I just want to make a small addition on what Sultan has said. The situation of poverty in my country, or maybe the culture, is a great challenge to me and my work I am doing. You know, before this time, I gathered a lot of youth in which we are working together with or without activity. They are with me, and when I have an activity, we do it together. But because of the situation of being poor, some of them are expecting some cash or some money as payment as to what they are doing. So some has to leave because there is no money to give to them, and they are not reaping a direct benefit or immediate benefit from what we are doing. Yes, and even some of the activities we do, some we have poor participation because we don't have money we give to the people. But the help of our aunties here, who has been doing it, providing some meals, providing transport for some of them. So it's quite change. Let me say it's a big change that we started having a lot of people that when we do our congresses, a lot of people come. Some may even come, but maybe they want to be part. A lot of them, so we have to choose. So it's really, really a challenge. Supporting or doing any project here needs to involve feeding, transportation, and that is a must to them. If you don't, then they'll find it difficult to even join the work you're doing. Yes.
Can I just ask a question to did you talk about how Alpha has been studying all the time? He's completed his degree in agriculture this year. Yes, and that's been amazing. And Alpha has volunteered his time for this work for 4 years, and really we're at a changing point, and it's why Alpha and I worked together to pull together this submission to the Australian High Commission in Ghana, because really it's time for Youth Leading the World Sierra Leone to step up and come into their own. And Alpha wants to dedicate his life to doing this, but he can't do that as a volunteer. He's got a baby, he's got a beautiful partner, and we need to now move this organisation to a new way that's not volunteer run, but it's actually moving into that field of becoming a functioning non-government organisation with effective levels of core funding and project funding. And so that's what we've focused our energy on for the last few years, but particularly that core funding, because there's still a ridiculous situation where the vast majority of funders do not recognise what it takes to run an NGO. And so, yes, we'll give you money to go and do stuff, but we won't, support the actual core functioning of what that organisation, that charity is doing. So, Alpha, have you got anything you want to add to that?
No.
Yeah,
Right.
I am glad you brought that up, Sue, because we hadn't talked about the video has Alpha's degree on it, but we hadn't talked about how you've been working, volunteering basically for 4 years. So yeah, and it is a critical juncture. And as I have often said, prayers are not enough. We who are just steeped in blessings and privilege have an incredible opportunity to help this young man in this organization, or any, truly any, just stepping into what is possible and making that possible across the globe is really the most important thing for those of us who are in this privileged state.
Well, that may be a good note with which to end our program, everyone. The need to support Alpha in the work that he's doing there in Sierra Leone, one of the poorest countries in the world. And yet, despite that, we have a young man who's dedicated his life to climate activism. And to the degree that any of you can support, Jennifer put the link in the chat box. And Jennifer and Sue, can you stay afterward for the after chat, and maybe Alpha, so we can have a more informal conversation? And you'll see the link in the chat box. And then tomorrow, everyone, we're going to be very privileged to have Vandana Shiva with us on Humanity Rising to make a comment on COP28 and the work that she's doing in India, much of which, like what Sue and Jennifer are doing through Oz Green, is focused on empowering young people. So thank you, everyone. That'll do it for us for today. We'll see you tomorrow for Dr. Vandana Shiva. And you're all welcome to the after session chat. The link is in the chat box. Thank you, Jennifer, for standing in. Thank you, Sue, for getting up the middle of the night. And thank you, Alpha, for the extraordinary work that you're doing there in Sierra Leone. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Sue, I will put the after chat link in WhatsApp.
Okay, yeah, I've copied it down and I've got it on my computer, so I'll do that. I can't believe it.
It's fine.
Anyway, I'll see you online. Also, we
Okay.
did the presentation because I sent that through to them.
Yes, we did. I showed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the presentation.
Right.
Great. Good. Okay. See you on the other side.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Okay, Alpha, I'm going to send you the link as well, so you can join in on the after chat, which it's a different Zoom link. So let me put it.
I should join in now.
Okay.